so long, it's hard to believe the truth. Wanna be like the rest. When they leak to their death, let another man's action determine your next move.
Are here on our Dinner Club TV YouTube channel. We had a few technical difficulties this week, so we switched over, but we hope you came with us. We are here with our Evening Social Podcast at 1739 Gallery. I am First Things First. Don't forget the coach. Then comes Mo.
And I'm Jabril Janae.
And we are here with my guy, Mr. 180. Mr. Heartland 180, and see, I forgot. I knew I was going to say it, and I can't find it in my notes. What's the term again?
Which one?
From,
yeah. From dope dealer to hope dealer?
there it is. From dope dealer to hope
Put
dealer.
that on the shirt.
My man, Max Mendoza.
Yeah, Max.
There we go. All right. Now, this is from Ashley the Classy. That's the name of our segment here, but we're about to get to Speaking Truth to Power with Jabril Janae.
Tonight, Speaking Truth to Power actually was inspired by Max Mendoza, the hope dealer from Ashley the Classy man. No, because you have an amazing story, which we're going to get to. But in your story, what stands out to me the most is how you overcame everything that was meant to destroy you. And the message tonight is, it ain't no excuses.
No.
There are no excuses. If you want something, no matter where you've been, no matter your experiences, most of the time, if you embrace your experiences and are truthful with yourself about how your experiences have affected you and motivated you, and all of that. We've talked about things like that on Speaking Power of the Truth before. But if you embrace your truth, then all of those experiences should be something that you use to catapult you to the next level. Things that have happened to you, things that you have seen, should not keep you from rising. It's always going to be something set up against you. It's always going to be something that is there to make you fall. Because the devil busy. He got a whole day's work just for you to do it, right? It's not an excuse for you not to fulfill your dreams, for you to feed the next person and push them forward and create something in your community where others can prosper.
You know, I heard something just recently that stuck to me that I really like, but they say you got to be the arrow. You know, sometimes you got to be pulled back before you can go forward.
But if you have the proper perspective, then you can use those experiences as tools, as your bow, as the bow to your arrow. You got to get out of your own way.
Well, you know, like I tell everybody, this is one of my big ones. You can't always control what happens in life, but you can always control how you react to those situations. And like I tell everybody, you got two choices in life. You can either be the victim of circumstance, or you can be the victor of circumstance. Take those situations. Yeah, it sucked, but what can I learn from this to make me better than I was before, or to help someone else get through it, or to stop it from happening to someone else?
If that be the only reason, is so that the next person have an example.
You got to be the example of the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy in life. You go to my Facebook page, it's right there. Be the example of the change you want to see.
Be the change, that's my thing.
Tell us how you got there, huh?
We're going to get to, I'm a little jealous though, Max, you know, because I don't ever get to, break in on Speaking Truth to Power, and you got to break in and, get a job. I've been putting it out there, just a little something. It's all in.
You be talking the whole time. You see him doing it though, right? It's okay, Max. You can admit it.
Oh, now I'm talking to whole time. That's what a host does. To talk to Max, man.
Yeah.
let's get to our next part before we go. I mean, you know, my mind, every time I'm sitting here thinking about, man, I'm going with you, you know, it's a song to play in my mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get to it a little later. I'm going to tell you before we get you out of here. We're going to talk about that.
All right.
So we are going to move on to our next segment right here. And this segment right here is going to be brought to you by Sweetie's Teas. That tea that's sitting in front of you, man, it's yours. You got to taste it. It's Sweetie's Teas out there. I already seen you with a bag.
I already bought a bag.
Yeah, I seen
I
I seen you
said
in
you
a
said
bag.
that one's yours too.
Yeah.
What kind is that?
We're right on into
Hopefully it's not the mango one because I'm allergic to mango.
it. Nah, you know, somebody make sure we don't get mango.
What is it,
They
watermelon?
hoard it up.
I think so.
So, but this is we're going to talk a little bit about school years and post-secondary, you know, things like that. Let's talk a little bit. So where'd you go to school?
I was kind of a troubled kid, man. I've been to a lot of schools.
Okay.
I literally pretty much got kicked out of the Catholic school system.
Mhm.
They were done with me, so I went to schools in Kansas because you know Missouri had some trouble with their school districts there for a little while. So living in Kansas too. So I went to West Middle, my 6th grade year, and then from I got into some trouble. I was supposed to go to Schlegel.
I was a Buffalo too. I went to
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. You know, I had issues with gangs and stuff, and got into a situation where someone actually shot out my bedroom window, and I wasn't able to go to Schlegel because I was in a situation where they felt like people would retaliate, and so I ended up going to Harmon. Unfortunately, due to the lifestyle choices I was living, I wasn't able to graduate from Harmon. I found myself incarcerated at the age of 16 and was locked up for 5 years. So I actually got my high school diploma while I was incarcerated,
Nice.
which a lot of people that don't happen normally end up with a GED. So I got my high school diploma while I was locked up at the Topeka Juvenile Correctional Facility, and actually started working on my associate's degree while I was there too.
Nice. Associate's degree in?
At that time, I was working in just general education, you know,
Okay.
associate's arts. And then when I got released, I went back to school to try to be a social worker, and was going to school for quite a while, about 3 years in school, before I found out that I couldn't be licensed as a social worker because I was a convicted felon. I gave up and dropped out. And here I am now in the social work field, the head of my own agency. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, but yeah.
So I got to ask a question. I just want to. I always try to do this because we'll have some of our youth that are in similar situations that you were in, and they have to make certain choices. So I want to ask you, what do you think was the influence that had you lean toward certain choices as far as like who you hung around, gangs, like what leaned you toward that?
Well, I had a crazy situation. I literally lived 2 lives. Like, I even went by 2 different names. Like, if you saw me in school when I was at Harmon, everybody knew me as Max. I dressed like one of the, the white kids, metal kids, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you saw me on the streets, you'd see me in Cortez's, Dickies,
Right.
Going by the name Ramon, or, I had all kinds of different nicknames, Payaso, Oso. For y'all don't know, Payaso means clown in Spanish, and Oso means bear, because I've always been a big guy. So I was living 2 different lifestyles, and the thing was, I grew up, I'm biracial, and I was stuck in between 2 worlds. And,
Right.
And you are influenced by your environment. I saw what everybody else was doing. I wanted to be like them. And even though, and I didn't know who I was. My biggest thing was I was always worried about trying to be like everybody else and trying to fit in. And that's what led me down that path. I'll tell you, one of the things about getting involved, with people on the streets is people just want to feel like they belong.
Yeah.
They want to feel accepted. And the problem is, when you don't have positive places where you feel like you're accepted and you belong, you're going to go wherever there's an open door for you.
I was gonna ask you, did you feel like the relationship with your parents and the household environment played a part in
Oh,
you
yeah.
having a craving for the streets?
Well, yeah, you know, I saw what my uncles and my dad and my cousins were doing, and, you know, I felt like that's what I should have been doing, you know, and I didn't want to be an outcast. You know, there were several times where I felt like, you know, I wasn't part of my family. You know, this is going to be messed up, but there were times I was even told that I wasn't part of the family. I didn't have my dad's last name until my youngest brother was born.
Wow.
You know, there were times where I was told, you're not a Mendoza, you're a Knickerbocker. You know, and
Is that?
that was my mom's maiden name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because my mom was white, and you know, my dad, Hispanic. You know, we came from a Hispanic family, and you know, like I said, I got a DNA test and found out that we're Native, you know, Indigenous Americans. We're, you know, Native American people from Central America. So you know, there was a lot of things. You know, growing up, I was told one thing, and there's a lot in my past that I don't know what's real and what's not. You know, a lot of not knowing who I am or who I was, and you know, there were a lot of times where you couldn't trust what you were being told by the people that are supposed to be your family.
In what sense?
Um,
I mean, like,
Well, you know, I don't want to like badmouth or trash my dad or my family, but there were a lot of times where, you know, and you know, a lot of people said, well, they were just joking, they were just kidding and all that kind of stuff. But when you're a kid, when you hear things,
right.
that affects a kid. They take that to heart. And you know, when you hear, at one point in my life, I was even told, oh, your real dad's some white guy that lives on Ward Parkway. You know, how does that make a kid feel when you're
Right.
when you're in an environment where noticeably you look different than everybody, and you're treated as this outsider? You know, and I ended up connecting really closely to two of my cousins. I have one cousin who was really dark skinned, and they used to make fun of him because how dark he was. And you know, we became really close. He was a big influence in my life. And I'll be honest with you, he's kind of the reason that changed my life. He was killed in a drive-by shooting. And he was one of the, he was somebody that I kind of looked up to, that I wish I would have listened to a little bit better. He used to tell me how smart I was and what I could do, but I just wanted to be like him. You know,
Right.
we idolize different lifestyles, or we see things like he used to tell me, you know, this isn't the lifestyle you want to live. But I thought he was cool. You know, I wanted to be just like them. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be part of the in crowd. And he would tell me, like, no, this isn't the life, man. You're smart. You can do something with your life. Like the last time we ever spoke to one another, we actually got into a fight because I was hanging out with people he told me I shouldn't have been running with.
Oh, right.
And he was mad at me because I dropped out of school. And, you know, one of the last things I said to him was, you know, F off, man. And that was my last words to him. And now I can't ever go back and take that back.
That's tough. Yeah.
That influence paid dividends, though.
It did, you know. Well, while I was incarcerated and I found out about his death, I was actually in solitary confinement.
Oh, wow, so you were, okay.
Yeah, I was in there for a minute, and that's a long time to be. Somewhere around definitely months, just sitting there thinking about what I said to him, and you know, I had a chaplain and a teacher who asked me a question that changed my entire life. And they said, you know, obviously you loved him and he saw something in you. Why can't you be that person? And I told them I didn't know how. And they said, if you had the opportunity to change. Would you take it? We will help you. And at first I was skeptical because normally, you know, the way I grew up, if someone's doing something for you, there's an ulterior motive.
Right.
And you know, and here I am sitting in the cell. What do I have that they could possibly get out of me? What, you know, what's the catch? But you know, when they asked me that question, it changed my life, and I started working to better myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually have my tattoo right here. I drew this when I was in solitary confinement. We called it June Bug, and this is my reminder. You know, why I do what I do.
They call who June Bud?
That was my cousin. We called him June Bug.
Oh, yeah. So, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna go with, so in that focus, what did you change? You said you didn't know how to be that person. What is it that changed?
Well, for me, the one thing that changed was, I think it was like, well, obviously what I'm doing is not working, because look at where I'm at. Here I am, you know, locked up, you know, solitary confinement. Like, what I'm doing isn't working, so something has to change. And I just took a gamble and took a chance. You know, what else did I have to lose in that moment? And the chaplain got me into a mentoring program. And I think that's what really changed, was when I had my mentor who came and saw me religiously every Thursday while I was incarcerated. Somebody who I didn't know, who was investing in me and couldn't get anything in return. Like, I'm like, what's the catch? Something about this isn't normal. And that was such a mind-blowing concept to me, that an individual could actually do something for someone else just because they care and out of the kindness of their heart.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna expound a little bit on that, but we're gonna move to a different direction. Kind of like moving into, as you're coming out, so we get into a segment that we're gonna talk about where kind of more of your career, family coming out, and where you're moving to. So as you're coming out, and I'm talking about incarceration.
Yeah.
You're making a choice of what you want to do. First of all, tell me, as you're coming out, because we know the statistics about where usually incarcerated people draw back to.
Yeah.
What was the mindset of you coming out, and what kept you from going back to what you were?
So, actually, I had a really tough situation because when I got released, I didn't get to go home.
Okay.
Sheriffs were waiting at the gates for me, and I got taken back into custody and was extradited to the state of Missouri, where I went into the adult system.
Wow.
And so when I got out of the adult system, I didn't have a choice. And so they sent me back home. They sent me back to my parents. You know, I was back, you know, living in Kansas City, Missouri, you know, in those environments of, you know, just those cycles.
How long did you have to stay in Missouri?
I was there for quite a while, until actually one day my probation officer, or my parole officer, came to the house and finally saw. I had been asking him, hey, I want to get out on my own. I want to live on my own. This is not a good environment for me. I don't want to, you know. And it took my parole officer coming to the house and seeing what I was saying, because I had been saying this for a minute. And once they saw it in their own eyes, then they finally gave me the permission to move out on my own.
What was the plan coming out?
That's the thing. I didn't have a plan. I didn't, because, you know, I was coming into Missouri. I was stuck in Missouri. And then the day I got released, I was actually in county jail on one of my charges. And I got released with time served. And they were like, well, we're going to send you home. And so I'm like, I don't even know where home is. I don't know where any of my family is. I don't know how to contact anybody. I've got and so here I am, July, hotter than heck, getting released from Kansas City, from the jail here in Kansas City, all my worldly possessions in a trash bag, and I'm like, what am I going to do?
How old are you at that point?
I was 22 years old.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right.
And man, you know, like I said, I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person. Some higher power's been looking over me. I get released with a guy from my old neighborhood that I knew. And he's like, oh man, what's going on? You know, we're chopping it up in there. And I'm like, man, I'm getting released, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know where my family lives. I don't know how to get a hold of anybody. He's like, man, your dad parties with my dad. We'll walk to my house and yeah, he can get a hold of your pops and we can, you know, get you back home. And so we walked from, 12th and Cherry all the way down to 23rd and Holly.
Oh.
In the middle of summer with a trash bag full of my stuff walking. Hey, I'm talking about just pouring sweat. But we get to his house, his dad gets home from work. He's like, oh yeah. We get a hold of my parents and literally we roll down to Royal Liquor Store, meet up with my dad. And my dad picks me up and takes me home. My mom was asleep. I get home, she's asleep. I wake her up, she freaks out. She's like, what are you doing here? You know, like thinking I broke out or something.
Oh man, that had to be a tremendous, you know, feeling to be out.
Yeah.
You know, not understanding what you're gonna do is not great, but to be out and go. So now, from there, what does Max do?
Man, you know, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I knew what I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure how I was gonna get there. And so a lot of it was like, you know, trying to figure out, find a job and all that stuff, because it's hard. You know, when you're a convicted felon, no one wanted to give you a job. No one wants to give you a chance. And so for quite a while, I found myself, you know, finding odd jobs to do and stuff, and then trying to find places to live, kind of bouncing around from place to place. And I actually started working at Jimmy John's in Westport. Yeah.
Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's, man.
Pretty fast, right?
Pretty fast.
And, you know, one of the owners there, he was a pretty cool guy. He gave me a chance. Unfortunately, it ended on bad terms with me leaving that company. I got hurt, you know, a bunch of other stuff. I'm not going to really go into all of that, but you know, everything happens for a reason, you know, and it led me to a new place. And you know, at that time I was working at Jimmy John's. I was going to school. I was working in the bars as a bouncer, and you know, eventually led to a point where I got with a group of friends and we started this music promotions company.
Okay.
And so, you know, that opened up a lot of doors for me, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do. That wasn't my passion. You know, my real passion was wanting to help other young men and women like myself. You know, when you asked me what kind of changed, and I said I got in that mentoring program, you know, there was a moment while I was in that mentoring program, I was the first long-termer they ever allowed in the mentoring program. The superintendent of that facility was 100% against. He did not like me. I mean, there was a situation where, like, I was filing a lawsuit against the state of Kansas. Like, I was, you know, like there was a lot of stuff that happened, and this chaplain just did not give up, and he got me into that program. And so when I got into it, after I was done, it was like, well, now what? Because most people that go through this program get released and go home. But now I'm done with it, what am I going to do? And so they started letting other long-termers go through the program. And then we went to this chaplain with an idea. I was like, hey, what if us guys that have gone through this started another group and we worked with the other guys like peer mentors? And we started a group called the Torchbearers. And I still use that term today. We'll get into that later. But as the Torchbearers, the idea was we take that torch and carry it on.
Right.
And so we started working with the other guys we were incarcerated with in the program, helping out. They have a weekend retreat. We'd be helping with the retreat and stuff. And I was giving my testimony to a bunch of young guys that were coming into the program. And I'll remember this kid for the rest of my life. His name was Jose. And he goes, man, I see what you're doing in here. And I just heard my entire life come out of your mouth. It was like you were telling my story.
Right.
And I see what you're doing in here. And it makes me think I could do it too. And at that moment, it all kind of clicked for me. It was like,
Right.
Now I know why I was brought to this moment. I found my path, and it was to take what I've learned and take my experience to show other people that, you know, just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you are a mistake, and that we have the potential to do great things if we put in the work. You know, that first moment where I realized that you got to be the example of the change you want to see in the world. And that was my first moment where I realized that my actions can impact others in a positive way, just like those mentors impacted me. And so, when I got out and I started doing the music stuff with them, and we started using the company to do the same thing with our community, doing community events, teaching kids how to play music, all this other stuff. And then I started doing motivational speaking, going out speaking to people about, being a business owner and entrepreneur and, coming from my past and all of that. And it opened doors for me. The governor's office heard about what I was doing and how me being the sex offender is now being successful. And I was appointed to the Governor's Advisory Board of Juvenile Justice in the state of Kansas.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Good. Man, good, good. Max, at this time, I got to take one moment to do something.
All right.
Our platform here, our show, is about a couple things, and one of them, is about putting in front of our community people who are thriving in a professional manner and telling their stories where they come from.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is our platform is to give what we like to call oxygen. Oxygen is our way of big up and telling the people, man, you're doing a wonderful job. We see you. Our community needs you. Our community loves you. Continue to do what you're doing, man. It is needed. It's valuable. And what you're doing, I know a lot of times people don't tell you thank you. You know what I mean? But we want to take this opportunity, and we call it oxygen because we're hoping that it breathes life into you to continue to do more of what you're doing. So if you all will give us opportunity and when we give us some
I appreciate that. But one of the things that I try to tell people too is if you have the ability to do something, if you have the ability to make a change, you have the responsibility to do it. One of the things I've learned, there's going to be people that help you, but no one's going to change your life for you. You got to put in the work. You got to be the example of the change. And one of my biggest things is with me going through the system, I had all these people telling me how to live my life, but none of those people lived my life.
Right.
And how am I supposed to take what you're saying off face value when you don't know what it's like to walk in my shoes? And that was very hard for me, How can kids are tangible. They got to see it, they got to feel it. And when I was a young man, I couldn't believe what they were saying. They weren't relatable.
That's what I was going to say.
And I needed somebody that was relatable. I needed someone that looked like me, that had that lived experience. And then, when I had that moment with that young man, Jose, that's how I knew. I was like, okay, it can be done. I can be that change. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. Change doesn't happen easy. It doesn't happen overnight. One of the big things we say within our program is, change happens 1 degree at a time. It happens one step at a time. Everybody has this idea of what success is supposed to be, and it's not a straight line that goes like this. Success, it goes all over the place. There's going to be times where you fall back and you have to pick up and go back again. But you have to remember that every time you stumble, it's because you have to stop. There's something you need to see and learn. That's why you fall down, is because you have to stop. Sometimes the universe, God, or whoever, they got to put you on your butt so you can look and see what's going on.
I like that.
Yeah,
I believe
like
that.
Too.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot let you get out of here without us talking about a few things.
All right.
And I know we're getting to our time, so we got to talk about a few things. All right? We got to talk about a few of these things here. A lot of people don't know what this is, but let's talk about it, man. First, we got 2 very important programs that are happening in our community that come from you. First, I want you to tell them Heartland 180. What is that? That's your
well, and the great thing is Heartland 180, we started off as a youth service agency providing character development training, social emotional learning, those soft skills. The thing is, when kids go to school, you're given academia, you're given knowledge and stuff, but school isn't really set up to teach you how to be a person.
Right.
You know, learning all those soft skills, interpersonal relationship skills, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence. You know, that's a big one I talk about is I see so many of these young boys that don't have emotional intelligence. They don't understand their feelings. And it's okay to have feelings. And that's one of the big things is teaching, you know, these boys that it's okay to feel. You got to understand who you are. There are we work on what's called 3 degrees of change. Self-awareness, self-development, and social responsibility. You got to know who you are to know who you want to be and where you want to go. And then you got to know that you have a role to play in your environments. When we say community, social responsibility, you know, knowing your community, you got multiple communities you're a part of. Your home, your school, your work. And in those environments, you've got a role and a responsibility to those environments. And so understanding that. And that was a big thing is I learned that I had to learn who I was to be able to work on myself to know where I need to go.
Well, our time is getting down, but I got to get the names of these 2 programs in.
Yeah.
I want people to know about that. And some things, great things that you were just doing at Kinship Cafe with growing into manhood. So give me I'm looking at our time, give me 30 seconds, what is growing into manhood?
So growing into manhood is basically our social emotional curriculum, but it's written to be culturally competent to African American boys. So this program's done from ages 11 to 17, giving them those soft skills that they need to be successful, and bringing in men in the community that look like them to work with them. And I'm actually currently putting a team together to write a Hispanic version as well.
Man, I'm loving that. Now this one here is important too. It's strengthening families program.
I love this.
So strengthening families. Talk to us about what 30.
Yes. So
Well, now I'm looking. We got 20 seconds.
all right. So strengthening families is a program where we work with both the youth and the parent to build the communication skills and bring the family back together. Give the parent those parenting skills, but really unifying the family and opening up those doors to communication.
Man, I love it.
I
Max,
love this,
tell them.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No. This program is close. I love this.
And we're accepting families right now. We want to get a program going this summer, so any families ages 10 to 14, and we'll even budge a little depending on where the kids are cognitively. But yeah, we want to help these families. All of our services are free to any Wyandotte County resident, so there's no cost. We try to keep our programs and our services free to those families that need them.
All right, so tell them where they can contact you or get in touch to be able to get in the program.
Yeah, so you can find us on our website, heartland180.org. We're located at 500 North 7th Street inside the Avenue of Life building. But you can find us, all of our contact information on our website.
Okay. All right. Tell them how to get in touch with you on social media.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look up H180 program or Heartland 180.
All right, there we go. My God. All right, now we're getting into kind of wrapping things up before we hopefully get another wonderful performance from my guy, Mumbles and Bree, the First Lady. All right. But I got a question to ask you as we kind of ended up. What would you do or say if you had the attention of the world for 20 seconds? All right. Now don't tell me. What I want you to do is I want you to look into the camera and you do that. At 20 seconds, you do it right in that camera. You got 20 seconds. Give it to us. This is you for that 20 seconds. You got the attention of the whole world.
I would say be the example of the change you want to see in the world. Just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you are a mistake. That you got the potential to do great, amazing things if you put in the work. Everything you have is here and here. You follow these and you put in that work and you will make it. I'm living proof. There's nothing special about me.
Man, well, I beg to differ.
Right.
There is something special about you, Max Mendoza. You know, once again, man, got to give you oxygen, man, for all the things you're doing in our community, man. Continue to do it. We just touched a little bit of the story, you know what I mean, of who you are and what you do, but you mean so much to our community, so much to our youth. And once again, man, this is oxygen for you to continue to go. Know that it is not going unnoticed. It is very much appreciated. Our families, our community, very much needs it. We appreciate you.
Takes a village, man.
It does, but it also takes some to lead to get there.
All
It
right.
takes those examples. I think what's the wonderful thing that you said, and it's something that I say all the time, is kids have to see people who look like them exact change. They got to see that. They got to be able to look up and say, oh, okay, I can do this, I can be that same person. So I appreciate that. And we do, man. So we got to give you that for it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. So, Max, we want to make sure that we give them again an opportunity to know how to get in touch with Heartland 180. So tell them one more time,
Yeah,
how can they get in touch with you?
You can find us on social media, H180 Program or Heartland 180, or on our website, heartland180.org. We're also located at 500 North 7th Street inside the Avenue of Life building.
All right. So if you all don't mind, please, one more time, let's give Max some oxygen for being here today. Now, be sure to come out next week. We'll be right here, either in person or in our live taping. You can also see us, should be back on our Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, if I could put in one plug real quick, we got an event coming up. So June 18th, we're doing a fish fry fundraiser at our building from 1 to 3 at the Avenue of Life. We're going to have an auction. We're going to have all kinds of stuff out there. $7, all you can eat catfish. $10 will feed you and a member of the homeless community.
Oh, yeah.
So
Nice.
$7 all you can eat, $10 all you can eat, and
And
feed.
feed a homeless person.
So I want to make sure we said $7 all you can eat.
All you can eat.
And then $10, you can eat all you can eat plus feed the homeless.
Yep.
Okay, so if I get $20, then what?
I guess you get 2 plates.
You can
I
feed
can see
someone.
coming up. All right, I got 2 plates here. I'm gonna walk away with 2 more plates.
Okay, all right, there we go. There we go. All right.
Max, I'm so glad you came.
Man, appreciate it. Hey, make sure you come out. Next week, our guest is, we bringing We Buy Black's co-founder, Arisha Towers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Come on, Orisha. I'm excited for that.
So, as we get out of here, you know, we appreciate you. We appreciate everyone coming out. We are at 1739 Gallery. That's where we are. It's at 1739 Walnut in Kansas City, Missouri. Gotta, once again, shoot a shout out to our episode partner in part, Wilson's Pizza and Grill. And then also to our part sponsor, Henderson Entertainment, who was responsible for bringing us our guest that's going to perform here in just a second. All right. So I am Coach Mo.
And I'm Jabril Janae.
Together we are Culture Keepers. All
We
right.
love you.
All right. We appreciate you.
Yes.
And we thank you for being out here tonight. All right. So as we get out of here, we're going to take a quick break, and then we will have Mumbles and Bree, the First Lady, take us out of here. All right?
All right.
Max, your story is amazing. Like,
Appreciate it.
strengthening families program is very good.
Got it?
Yeah.
When the blind lead the blind, when there's no one else around, you've been living lies so long it's hard to believe the truth. Wanna be like the rest, when they leak to their death, let another man action determine your next move.
But I knew we doing a lot of stuff, man. And it was going to have, you know, back to whatever you doing alcohol, whatever. Because what we're trying to do, we need to get 12 city trips. And that's a constant choice. During the day, we go to sleep. Right, let's go out and then I will become the show. And stuff like that. We what you thought, and what we do good. We try to get what the end of it. Because people don't get it. You know, they took what you think of it. And you had to figure out, like, okay, this is what I do. You know what I'm saying? You said you seen that guy. You said you're not going to get anybody. I'm spiritual. That's how we're going to
Yeah. You ready?
I need a beer.
Hold on.
I just look like a. Come on, let's go. Fuck
He's right here. Don't give up. You gotta keep on pushing when things get hard.
Don't give up. Give up now.
Ain't nothing you can touch. You gotta keep pushing when things get tough. You gotta end the world when it's down or you love it. You gotta keep the drive. Don't ever give up. You can't ever give up. Don't ever give up. You gotta keep the drive. Don't ever give up. Like the end of the world when you're down or you love it. You gotta keep the drive. Don't ever give up. I have been at the bottom. Been there. Did that. Once you give up music, somehow I couldn't do that. I continued to rap and was off every line. I kept the drop up in me, and now it's my time. Over 200 songs wrote before I got to that flow. I ain't gonna bite my tongue, and I ain't about to show. This my new trap, best believe I'm a boss. I'm breaking everything, so I'm heard when I spoke. I done been down on my luck, once you give up. Failure's not an option, so I had to suck it up. Every once in a time, I ain't doing it no more. Gotta give up my fortune, however it goes. See my $1 million dream, I'm going for mine. Find me in the lab, writing my rhyme. I stay with the suckers, they wanna hold you down. I ain't got time for them tricks, I don't mess with them plans.
Don't give up. Don't you give up now. Give up. Ooh. No matter what, nobody think about you, period. No, I'm just playing. Y'all get the message, be yourself, period.
Hey, can you turn my mic up a little bit? Can you turn my mic up a little bit?
Turn them up, turn them up on the microphone. What's up, Kansas City? It's Brittany First Lady. Y'all know what's up, mamas.
Yes, it's over. Yes, we're done. Obviously, you just were not the one.
Can you turn my mic on up? This nigga fucked up. I'm playing.
How the fuck, what the world even happened to us?
I swear I tried.
She said, up, things changing life. She had enough, I be gone day and night. Want me out of way, out of mind, out of sight. Looking at the future and it don't look right. I broke your heart, now I'm losing the pain. I'm going through it, I miss my everything. Missing you, where did we go wrong? You walked away and I see that you're gone. I need my family back, my wife and my kids. A lot over as soon as I'm trying to stitch. For better or worse, to death do his part. Changing up the script really caught me off guard.
It's over. Yes, we're done. Obviously, you just were not the one.
Can I get up on my mic?
How did this happen to us? How the fuck, what the world even happened to us?
I swear I tried.
It's driving us apart. My mother died trying to jump out the car. It's coming to gravel everything we had tied. Trying to rush bread before I let it all die. Throwing away our vows, you ready to toss. The love that shit somehow got lost. Think about what I do, well you know what I do. Trying to catch a drink, bring it home to you. For the film, I'm trying to open up doors. Losing you got me all off course. You don't love me no more. Looking at this when we used to be close.
It's over. Yes, we're done. Obviously, you just were not the one.
What the world even happened? I swear I tried. I'm supposed to be healing, but you gave me a feeling had never felt before. Oh.
Mama's a pretty first lady.
Period. Nigga, I tried. Damn. Oh, sorry, I know we live or something. God damn it, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Is that the last one? Thank you.